2022 meeting of the City of Fort Lauderdale Board of Adjustment to order. Madam Secretary, can you call the roll to see if we have a quorum?
Mr. Elfman?
Present.
Mr. Lamberts?
Present.
Mr. Maxey?
Here.
Mr. McGinley?
Here.
Mr. Mead?
Present.
Mr. Wolf?
Present.
And Chair Nelson?
Present. Do we have
You
a quorum?
Yeah.
We do. Mr. Maxey, you've got one job and one job only.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So we're going to do something slightly different today because we have several new board members. And I'm going to ask us to go around and just do quick self-introductions. And Mr. Wolf, would you care to lead us off?
Yeah. My name's Bob Wolf. Been in for about 25 years, I guess, 20-some years. My day gig is Broward County Property Appraiser's Office. I've served on a number of boards and commissions, both at the county level and the city level.
Do you mind just speaking into the mic so they can get everything you're saying on the record? Thanks, because people are listening online.
I know it's on. And I've been on a number of boards and commissions over the last number of years, and I look forward to participating on this one. It sounds exciting, interesting.
Great. Thanks, Bob.
My name is Douglas Mead. I've lived here since 2007. I was vice chair of the Sustainability Advisory Board. I'm chairman of the Fire Bond Committee, and I'm a trustee of the General Employee Pension System, and I'm thrilled to be a member of this board. I started my career as a civil engineer, and now I have a management and process engineering company.
Great. Without any disrespect meant to any other board in the city, welcome to the most fun board in the city. Blaze.
Oh, yeah, I'm Blaze McGinley. I'm a local architect. Just excited
Okay.
to be here.
Yeah, good.
Mike Lambrex. I formerly served on this board on the as an alternate seat, so this is my first full voting seat. So I also serve on the Broward County Housing Authority on the audit committee. I own a wealth management practice in Fort Lauderdale, and I've been here my whole life and excited to continue to serve.
My name's Howard Nelson. I'm lucky enough to be the chair of this board for several years now, was the former chair of the Code Enforcement Board, lived in Fort Lauderdale since the early 70s, and I'm an attorney practicing land use and environmental law with a law firm down in Miami. Chadwick?
Chad Maxey. I've been a member of this board since 2017, and I just actually stepped down or was redistricted out of the Broward County Planning Council. I am a former Army veteran, and I am also a real estate developer building a veterans clinic down in Miami.
Cool.
And Howard Elfman, I'm a real estate broker. Also, prior to this, served as Vice Chair of Planning and Zoning and Chair of Code Enforcement after Howard Nelson.
Each of you have in your packets a copy of the minutes from our last Board of Adjustment meeting. If there are any changes, corrections, deletions, additions, spelling errors, or grammatical errors you want to deal with, please let me know. Otherwise, I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
I've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Please show unanimous approval. Can you please swear in anyone who will be speaking or testifying today? Well, anybody who plans on presenting sometime today?
Okay, do you swear or affirm any testimony you give at this public hearing will be truthful and accurate? Just yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And why don't we, and while we do have a chair and vice chair election, I'm going to put that off and let the applicants at least get up and go home to their families and dinner. So why don't we take case number 1, which is BOA case number 2204-0003. All right, I've got to get my agenda here. Beverly Heights LLC. Mr. Shine, are you here representing Beverly Heights? Before we allow you to begin, if we can do a voir dire of any contacts.
Blaze McGinley, no disclosure.
Mike Lambrecht's no disclosure.
Howard Nelson, no disclosure.
Chad Maxey, no disclosure.
I'll have to break that one up. Howard Elfman, I actually accidentally met the attorney at the property and got to see the property at the same
You
time.
didn't hit him, did you?
Didn't what?
You didn't hit him, did you?
Not intentionally.
Okay.
It was close, though.
Bob Wolf, no disclosure.
Douglas Mead, no disclosure.
Great. Mr. Shine, the floor is yours.
Good evening, Chair. Andrew Shine with Lockery and Chakas here representing the property owner. With me, we do have the two of the developers and also one of the future buyers of a townhouse in this property. This is the townhouse. It's an 11-unit townhouse building just south of Broward between Southeast 11th Avenue and Southeast 10th Avenue. This is a close-up of the project. The project is almost complete. Right now, 9 of the units are under contract, and the other 2 are not. But it's almost complete at this point. And we're here to request a variance from a code section that requires easements behind the townhouse properties. There's a code section that's cited here that when a portion of a townhouse does not abut a public right-of-way, you need to provide an easement so that the unit owners can go behind their neighbors' properties and bring a lawnmower or whatever they need to do back there. This provision has been in the code for a long time, at least since the adoption of the ULDR in 1997. But recently, and staff, if they want to chime in, I definitely welcome that. Recently, there's been a stronger enforcement of what can be within these easement areas, and they cannot have any above-ground improvements now, and staff has taken a pretty strict determination on that. It has been recent in our experience, only over the past 6 or 7 months has this come up and been an issue, but that's why we're here tonight. So we are proposing trees within the easement area. You can see this is behind one of the townhouses right now. You can see trees. They're not there now. They were removed prior to this hearing, but the plan is to put trees back in. I will say this is the first variance I've seen to get a variance for more landscaping and not less landscaping, but we are here for that. And this is the diagram of where the easements will go. The darker gray are the proposed easement areas. They will be 5-foot easements, but we are asking to allow trees within these easement areas. There will always be a continuous, at least 3.5-foot path. It does vary from close to 5 feet clear to 3.5 feet, depending on exactly where you are. But that's what we're asking tonight. And I'm going to go back to the aerial. This property is located in kind of a unique area. The businesses that are fronting Broward Boulevard, those buildings have been there for a very long time. If those buildings were to come in today, since that's a business zoning district and we're a residential zoning district, if a new building were to come in there today, they would have to provide some type of landscape buffer under neighborhood compatibility provisions. And since they're so old, there's no real landscape buffer between them. So you have a 3-story residential development abutting a business. And these trees are really necessary, not just for privacy for the unit owners, but privacy for the neighboring developments as well. On the south, on the southeast, there's a multifamily building there. It's only a 1-story building, and you have these 3-story townhouses looking down on it. So this variance will not only provide the privacy that would have otherwise would have been provided had the northern development put in landscaping, but it'll provide privacy for the neighboring property owners as well. I do have 9 support letters from the 9 current buyers. I can pass them out if requested. I do have copies of those. But all of the future owners are, of course, in support of this. They understand that there will be trees back there, but the trees are much more, they're very beneficial to have for all of those reasons. So that's our request. Here if you have any questions.
So I'm going to sit back for a second, see if there are any other questions from the board. I do have 2 or 3 questions, though.
I have a question.
Sir.
Looking at this picture, is this what we're talking about? The
Yes.
fence and 5 feet? So of the pavement, what's the distance from the fence to the pavement?
No. That's not where the request would be. The fence to the pavement there is significantly more than 5 feet. It's really on the pool edge, so if you're looking, I don't know if I can go over there and point it out without everybody seeing, but it's on the northern side of the pool in that photo that you were looking at. So here, I actually have this picture pulled up. The easement area where the trees are in question is right, it's through here, so including this pavement and including this mulched area here. On this side, there's 5 feet to the west of that tree, so there's no issue there. It's just the ones behind the townhouses.
So if the guy in the middle house wants to bring in pool furniture or a lawnmower
Or or a replacement air conditioner.
or anything, or a serviceman needs to come in here, can he make it from outside to his property on the easement,
Yes, yes.
being on the neighbor's property?
Well, you are on the neighbor's property, but it would be within the easement area. So yes, 3.5 feet. It's going to be no less than 3.5 feet. It does vary all the way up to 5 feet, and 5 feet is the requirement. So we're talking about a difference of maybe this big of what we're asking for a variance of. This is not that big of a difference.
Right. But could be an important difference if you're trying to move an air conditioner compressor.
The ACs on this side are actually on the side of the building. So
Okay, good. So that's my
that
first
shouldn't be
question.
necessary. But for other furniture, you can move through the front door. This easement, I don't want to speak for whoever wrote this, but this easement is not meant for moving things into the house. It's meant for
Getting things into the backyard.
getting things into the backyard. So it's not a furniture, and air compressors, that's all handled in areas that are common area for the townhouse anyway. Mr. Spear, you'd have to.
But you're more than welcome to clarify, but I do need you to come up, put your name and address into the record, and do that from the dais, if you would like to. But I don't know that you really need to from where the conversation's going. Mr. Wolf.
Just for edification, how much did it cost you all or your client to remove all those trees in advance of this hearing, then put them back if we grant that?
I would have to get that number from them. I don't have the number of the exact cost. It would have been
Sort of go, wow.
more expensive than if we didn't have to do that, though.
Jeff Spear, 3121 Southwest 47th Avenue, Fort Lauderdale.
Closer to the mic.
Yeah, the cost is much more than we hoped for. It was in the tens of thousands.
I wouldn't be happy about the homeowner having to pay for some of that.
So it depends, and we don't know the final cost exactly yet. Just what I was saying before, if I can, it was just that the air conditioning units are on the roof, and they're accessed from the end of the building. So you don't have to bring them down the backyard.
I only mentioned air conditioning because my son has a townhouse condominium unit that has the same access issue, and their ACs are in the backyard. And that was the measure. Can we turn it sideways and get it through the easement? And the answer, of course, was yes. Any other questions from the board?
I have a question for staff. Is there any landscape allowed in a pedestrian access easement? I just wanted to clarify.
So I was part of the team that helped write this section of code. And the intent was that it was free and clear, and that it was an access easement. It was a place for people to walk if they wanted to go for a walk around the building, things like that. There was not meant to be anything in the easement, no landscaping or anything. And just a point, the original DRC-approved plans don't have any trees in that area either. Nothing was shown, but they were planted afterwards. But the intent was for it to be clear.
Okay.
And I have a follow-up. Has there been any emergency services review done? Because that would be my concern. Just access from either the fire department or
Right.
emergency services. A lot of times they need more than 3 feet if that's how they would access your.
If indeed that's considered an access point, I don't know that the easement was put there
Represents that.
for that.
Yeah, they would be able to cross over regardless of whether there was an easement there. And there is more than, there's a lot of room back here but the 5 feet has to be measured from the property line. So there's, yeah, you could see the edge of pavement on this. There's more than 5 feet from here to the fence, but the easement is measured from here that way.
Yeah, but the image you're showing would have a fence along the left side of that pool that we can barely see, right?
Right, but there are fences there, and they will remain open as well. Not open, but unlocked.
Do we have the ability to put I'm not sure what the right term is, but a caveat to say that when the trees eventually expire, that they're not to be replaced?
If we would want to, we could condition it, but let's see if we want to do that
Okay.
towards the end of the day.
I mean, because the
Mike?
goal is to have it open, and I don't want to kill a tree, but at the same time,
Well, the trees have been removed. The trees aren't there right now.
I'm sorry.
The
they've
trees were
already been
removed for the hearing. This is to try to put them back so that they have some landscaping buffer between those commercial uses sitting on Broward Boulevard.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
Mike, you have a question?
Yeah, I guess my only thought here is also, I mean, once the trees, if the trees are back in, how much growth from these trees or how much, foliage is or vegetation is going to protrude from these, from these trees. I would imagine if there's an association or somebody would manage that, but that's one thing that I was thinking as well.
Okay. Gentlemen?
Is there an
Anything?
association
There is an association, yes.
that's maintaining the?
Yes, yes.
So let me hit my couple of questions, and my first one is for staff. They meet their landscaping, their code requirement without these trees, correct? This is not code-required landscaping.
That's correct, because as I said, the DRC plans didn't include the trees.
Got it. And we've got a letter of support from all of the unit owners in here. So they could take it out if they don't like it after 3 or 4 years, if they say, it's too tough, I want to walk my dog. If it's not for emergency access, and even if it's for equipment access, like on my son's townhouse, it wasn't code if they needed to take a tree, and they've done that in the past, and remove it, they did that, so they could get air conditioning units in. This is 9 townhouse units. We should, if they want to plant their pedestrian easement, I'm not really sure that that's our issue as much.
I mean, but that's against the intent of the
Well,
code.
I've read the code provisions, and I don't see it that way. As a matter of fact, I probably wouldn't have applied for a variance. I would have applied for an interpretation because I don't think the code's explicit. Yes, ma'am.
The Shari Wallen, Assistant City Attorney. I just wanted to add some more information that the board may not be aware of. In the DRC comments, this is case number R18003, January 23rd, 2018. It states as follows: the 5-foot perimeter access easement is for pedestrians to cross-access property for maintenance. Most of this easement seems to be encumbered with plant materials, so the applicant was aware that this was required to remove that encumbrance. Additionally, I pulled the declaration documents from the association, and on page 8 of the declaration in E, it states easement for 5-foot non-exclusive access easements required by the city's ULDR. Pursuant to the city's ULDR section 471833B5, a 5-foot non-exclusive pedestrian access easement is hereby declared, granted, and established over, across, along, and above the subject properties, to exceptions set forth in ULDR 471833B5 regarding townhouse units that directly abut a public right-of-way. The front, side, and rear yards of each townhouse building in favor of fee simple townhouse unit owners within their respective townhouse building, together with the common area as shown provided, that no landscaping, improvements, or structures may be placed within such pedestrian access easement areas that would hinder, frustrate, or inhibit any manner free and unobstructed use of the easement areas for pedestrian usage and transit. The location of the 5-foot non-exclusive access easements for each townhouse building is set forth in exhibits D2, D3, and D4. So it is in their association documents.
Got it. So thank you for reading that. I note that it doesn't say no landscaping can be placed there. It says no landscaping can be placed there that would hinder the pedestrian access.
That's correct. And from the city's standpoint, the intent is for access and any sort of trees
Got it.
located in that.
Which is why the city required 100% of it to be paved so that it could be ADA accessible and access, right? Of course not. They didn't. It's a pedestrian access way. If there's landscaping in there and it doesn't hinder the pedestrian access, and I note, interestingly enough, that it's maintenance access as well. I'm not sure it's a problem, but again, I would have looked at it from an interpretation, not a variance point of view, because I don't think the code specifically says what you can and can't do. It says you can't hinder access, and that's an interpretation issue.
Do you think it,
Mr. Wolf?
I agree. And,
Could you please speak in the mic? Because you see that television screen, we have to get everything that you say on that screen.
even on?
You have to
It is.
push it so it's a red light. Red light, so that everything on that screen, you can.
Bob, you're good. I can hear you through the mic.
I do think it's an interpretation issue. I reviewed all the materials and I have no problem with it. And if the owners of their property, which is their private property, want to remove it.
If they think it hinders their access, they could
Their property.
remove the landscaping.
That's it.
do you think it matters that it's not the smallest width of landscape that could possibly solve the problem they have? Does that matter?
If I looked at it as a variance and hardship issue, possibly, but I look at it as a code interpretation, is it hindering? And if they got 3 feet, they got 3 feet.
But 3 feet's a doorway, not an aisle.
Right. Any more questions from the board? Mr. Shine, do you have
I do have one
any
question, just of
closing?
what Ms. Wallen was reading from. Because we have
The
not.
declaration.
Is that the recorded one or the draft one that was sent to Mr. Bob Dunkel?
It's recorded. Instrument number 118096665.
And what's the owner on that one, or the?
You want a copy?
If I can
We'll
take
give you a
look at it,
copy.
that'd be great.
Yeah.
Because we haven't.
Beverly TH LLC. Same as the applicant.
Never a good surprise when you are just finding out about your own declaration
On the day,
during the hearing. But that's, that's life.
And we were still working with Bob Dunkel and Bert Ford to finalize the declaration language, and Mr. Dunkel sent us an email to finalize it after tonight's meeting.
This is recorded,
Or
so
an amendment to it.
Madam Assistant City Attorney, how old is this? What's the recordation date?
it was recorded on April 22nd, 2022. Very new.
Okay,
still warm.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, don't need it.
And that's a declaration's an internal document, so if that needs to be modified, we can, that's not an issue.
Okay. Anything else, Mr. Shine?
That is all.
Let's open it up for do you want to reserve time in case there's any members?
Yes, please.
Chairman?
Any
Chair?
members of the public who would, I'm sorry, yes, Mr. Ford.
So if the board does approve the variance, I would like a condition put in there that the recorded document would be amended. to what
It
the-
would have to be because it would be inconsistent.
Thank you.
Any members of the public who would wish to speak on this application? All right, don't all get up at once. Not seeing any, I will close the public hearing. Thank you for the recommendation, Mr. Ford. Is there a motion sitting anywhere on the board?
I think mine's going to be unpopular, so I'm going to let someone else speak.
Can I ask another question?
Absolutely. You're on the board, you could always ask
Yeah.
questions.
What's the distance from the edge of the pool to the tree or to the landscaping?
It's minimum 3.5 feet. It varies between 3.5 feet to 4 feet 4 inches. So it's a difference of from the code, it's a difference of 1.5 feet to 8 inches difference.
What's the distance from the pool to the fence?
The pool to the fence, I don't have the measurement to there. It's, if you look at this plan that's on the screen, it's a very significant distance, but I don't have that number.
Chair, the approved plans show from the pool edge to the fence being 5 feet. That is the 5-foot easement that
From the
was
pool deck edge or from the edge of water?
from the edge.
Because
Well-
it's looking on this drawing like the pool deck edge,
No, it's
Like,
the
it looks
edge
like
of
a
the
pool edge.
edge of the pool water.
the edge of the pool water.
And I did a site visit there probably 2 or 3 months ago, and I would say that the paving part of it is only about 2 foot wide. So whatever distance to the tree after that
Is unpaved.
Is what the total dimension would be. I didn't measure
Okay.
that part.
So is there maybe it's a different question, but when you have a pool and a housing and a walking area, is there a minimum distance that you need from a pool to the house or a pool to something that's a specified distance?
So the Florida Building Code isn't real specific for residential, but we go by, there is something in the UL there that mentions 2 feet. And that's just for being able to get in and out of a pool. Really doesn't relate to the easement or anything, but yeah.
What's the minimum setback that we allow backyard pools to sit off of the property line? Is that 2 feet as well?
Pools can be, in this zoning district, pools can be 5 foot from the outside edge of the coping along the top of the beam
To the
to
property
the
line?
property line.
Got it. Okay. All right. Mr. Elfman, Mr. Maxey, a motion?
Make motion?
Not a motion, but a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion for case number BOA 2204-003 to approve the variance as it meets the minimum requirements set forth in the ULDR for the variance and to amend the recorded document.
And to require the amendment of a recorded document to be consistent with the variance granted?
Correct.
I'll second it.
I've got a motion and a second. Any board discussion? Madam Recording Secretary, would you like to call the roll?
Mr. Lambrex?
Yes.
Mr. Maxey? Mr. Maxey?
Yes.
Mr. McGinley?
No.
Mr. Mead?
No.
Mr. Wolf?
Yes.
Mr. Elfman?
No.
Chair Nelson?
Yes.
Passed, 4-3.
Very good. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Well, let's take a break of about 45 minutes and, oh, I'm sorry, Lou, we got another case.
Yeah, it doesn't pass. It's a it's a majority plus one, actually, so you need 5 votes, so it fails, actually.
Has to be
I wasn't
majority
counting as
plus
we were sitting
one.
up here.
Yeah, it's 5 votes.
Yeah, so it has to be 5-2, so it failed.
Let's move on to case number 2205-0001, which is BRD Realty. Mr. Crush, I know you're here without even saying, are you here, but are you here?
I'm here. Yes, sir, I'm here.
Before we let you begin, why don't we do a quick voir dire?
Spoke with council. Blaise McGinley spoke with council.
Mike Lambrex spoke with council.
Howard Nelson spoke with council.
Chad Maxey spoke with council.
Howard Elfman spoke with council.
Bob Wolf spoke with council.
Douglas Mead spoke with council.
You're like a busy guy.
Did his word.
If you will introduce yourself, the floor is yours.
I think we needed Howard Nelson spoke with council as well.
We did.
No, Howard Nelson.
You.
Oh, I did it when we came across.
Okay. Mr. Chair, members of the board, new members of the board, welcome. I'm Jason Crush with Crush Law on behalf of the applicant. We're here for something a little less exciting than the previous variance request. This is a special exception request for the Sushi Song Phenomenal Sushi Bar located on the Gulf Ocean Mile at 3414 North Ocean Boulevard. Many of you are probably familiar with it. Been there since 2009. Our special exception request is pursuant to Code of Ordinances, Section 5-27, which requires that an establishment that serves alcoholic beverages must be at least 500 feet from a house of worship or a school. As I said, the Sushi Song restaurant is on the Gulf Ocean Mile in the commercial corridor district right on North Ocean. You can see it just west of the condos on the sand on Gulf Ocean Mile. The Shabbat Lubavitch is 349 feet to the north of us. So it meets that, it fails the liquor distance measurement of 500 feet by 151 feet. It is located in this commercial strip, which many of you are familiar with. Everyone seems like they've been in Fort Lauderdale for quite a while. It is where the green arrow is, Sushi Song, next to Thai To Go, the laundromat to the south, and many other businesses up and down the street. The inside it's a very small, quaint, kitschy environment, and it serves the community as well as visitors, and many of us who don't live on the Gulf actually drive over there to go to Sushi Song. Of course, you all know me. I have to do a gratuitous food photo to make everyone hungry for dinner, but it is a bona fide restaurant and is qualified to request a special exception from this board. What we're requesting is they want a 2 COP, which is a beer and wine license, which would allow them to serve sake and Sapporo and drinks like that with meals. They do, at this time, have a APS license, which is a package license that allows them to sell beer and wine to go in sealed container. It does not allow consumption on premises. That type of license does not require a liquor distance measurement, hence why we're here asking you tonight for the special exception. I went through that. So as you all know, the requirements for a special exception to another establishment are a little higher. The requirements for the request of a special exception under 4727B for this type of establishment is that it is not contrary to the public interest. Since you can see along this commercial corridor, there are many establishments that already serve alcoholic beverages, different types of retail uses. This is kind of the community shops for the Gulf and serves the area so folks can walk over. You've got Cafe Vico, we have Pita Express.
Just so we're clear, the preschool, which is on this list, does not serve alcohol.
No, but the preschool is owned by the Shabbat, so it's part of the same entity. So, and also, you know that down here to the right, kind of lower area, is the North Beach Shops, which has boat campers and boardroom and all the other uses that people frequent in this area. And as such, we believe that it's not contrary to the public interest to grant this special exception. We believe that this is a fabric of the community. It's been here a very, very long time. A lot of people expect to be able to have a sake or a Sapporo or Japanese beer when they go to a sushi restaurant for dinner or lunch. And we believe it's good for the residents and for visitors. They have been there established since 2009. And since it is incidental to the service of food, which is one of the requirements for requesting a special exception, we believe that it's not contrary to the public interest. As I know, Chair Nelson will always ask, did you get support from the House of Worship or the other entities? We did. Ownership went and spoke with the rabbi, and he wrote this very nice letter saying that he is a representative of the Shabbat and the preschool and supports the request of the special exception. Also reached out, I hit it too many times. Also reached out to some of the other local businesses and some of the residents in the area, and they also submitted some letters of support, which we submitted to staff, and you should have in your backup. If you don't, I'll follow up with Shaquille and Stephanie and provide those as well. And with that, I'm here to answer any questions and leave you with a beautiful picture of sake.
I'm actually amazed Rabbi Lipsick didn't offer to come in person to the meeting, which is just like him in a nutshell.
They asked if we were going to be serving any sushi, and we
Right.
said no, so they didn't want to come.
Any questions from the board?
Has anybody written a letter to refute this?
Letters of objection?
Letters
You'll
of
have to ask staff. I no, not from my side.
We haven't received any.
Opposing.
Right.
No? Okay.
Here.
Is this only beer and sake, or is it a full liquor license?
They will be seeking a 2 COP, which is beer and wine is a sake. Sake is a wine.
Okay, but not full liquor.
Not at this time, no. Full liquor licenses right now for an establishment like this are about $450,000. So they're a little steep.
So let me, Mr. Crush, are you finished with your?
I am, and I'm
Chief?
here for any questions.
Very good. Any members of the public that would like to speak on this, now would be your time.
They're with
Again,
me.
don't-
They're with
don't-
me.
Don't rush the podium.
They're with me.
Let me close the public hearing. I assume because there were no other speakers, you probably have no rebuttal. And
Well, I'd like to rebut Mr. McGinley.
not anything he said.
Mr.
just in
Chair.
general.
I'd like to make a motion for case number BOA 2205001 to approve the variance as it meets the minimum requirements set forth in the ULDR for the variance.
Second.
Special.
Got a motion and
special
a
exception.
second.
Special exception.
Special exception.
Special exception, not a variance. You want to re-roll it?
Take another swing at that?
I would like to make a motion for excuse me.
For approval
Sure.
of the
I would
request.
like to make a
special
motion
exception?
for a special exception for case number BOA 2205001 as it meets the minimum requirements.
Second.
So I've got a motion and a second. Please call the roll.
Yes?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very
Unanimous
much.
approval.
Who's getting elected? That's what I want
We
to
get sushi afterwards.
All right, before you guys think you're going anyplace, we do have election of officers. Normally, this would have been a piece of cake because our vice chair would have moved up to chair, but our vice chair has timed out. So, Mr. Elfman,
Yes, I would like to make a motion if I may.
you may.
And I guess we have to take it one at a time. So I'd like to make a motion for chair for the continuation of Howard Nelson,
Second.
Why do you hate
whether
me?
you want to or not.
Why do you hate me? Any other motions for chair? Anybody? Your big shot. This is.
You take a shot at the king, though, you better not miss.
Let's close the nominations then. Technically, we still have to have a vote. We may get 5 people voting against this.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
And then,
I would also like
Feldman,
to
if
make
you
a
would.
second motion for a
hey,
vice
I was
chair.
going to make that motion.
Oh, it's okay. I'm on a roll.
You're good.
So for vice chair, I'd like to nominate Blaise McGinley.
Second.
Any other nominations for vice chair? Not hearing any, we'll close that and let's take a vote on that item.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes.
All right, congratulations,
Humbled.
condolences, whichever you feel is appropriate. Any communications to the city commission? Hearing none, anything for good and welfare of the board or of the city? No? In that case, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
There we go.
No moss on that guy.